Yemi had said that the objective of your meeting is to try to understand how debates help strengthen and promote democracy. That is, of course, the only reason to invest this enormous amount of effort in having them. I'm so pleased that I was able to hear the previous panel, because everything that was said is spot on in terms of why they matter and what we all have to do to make them matter and to make them useful to the citizens of any country. I will never think of the initials RSVP the same way again after reading what they mean in rice stew very plenty, which I love, and then and to be honest, thinking about how much my mother and my grandmother would have loved that, because that was the whole point of any invitation. But when you think about all of those words, the way EIE is using them, they are active verbs. The S is for select. And that we are all doing when we try to learn about candidates in debates and through. But again, select is active. And what we believe at the Commission on Presidential Debates, and I would urge all of us to think about when we try to put debates together that will educate the citizens, is that unlike anything else that happens in an election process, the debates belong to the public. In this country, you will see conventions, paid advertisements, rallies, speeches. All of those can be produced and carefully thought through by the candidates and their campaigns, their staffs. Debates are the single event where the candidates appear in the same exact setting, a neutral setting, answering the same questions, which in our case are known only to the moderator beforehand, not to the candidates, not to their staffs, not to the Commission on Presidential Debates. They are having a serious discussion that hopefully will reveal new and better information to the public, because the public owns the debates. This is how the public needs to think about these forums. There is a very interesting debate in the United States, along with other places, which is, should debates be mandated by law, so that there is absolutely no question about whether the candidates participate. In this country, there is no law that requires candidates to debate, regardless of whether they are taking public funding or they appear on a certain number of state ballots. The debates are voluntary. There is no law that says that a candidate must debate. But as many of you know, we now have a history going back to 1976 of presidential candidates debating, including those who were sitting presidents and who were running for re-election. That is a remarkable history and tradition. The reason for that is only one factor, and that is that the public in this country expects our candidates to debate. And if they don't, if they look as though they are going to decline, or they are going to try to reduce the number of debates, or add rules that will make the debates less educational in terms of their formats, there is an outcry from the public saying, excuse me, candidates, what do you have to do that is more important than addressing the citizens of this country? Why is that not a priority for you? We, generally speaking, have 3 90-minute debates for presidential candidates and 1 90-minute debate for the vice presidential candidate. That means you are asking the candidates to give 4 times 90, that number of minutes, to speaking to the public that they are asking to govern. That doesn't really seem like such a big thing to do and such a big amount of time to take away from your campaign, especially when campaigns go on as long as they do in the United States. So the way that we think about these, and I think it is very natural given what EIE has defined its role as being, is that the public owns these forums. The public is the one selecting a candidate that they will choose to vote for and govern them. There are many ways that these debates matter to the democracy. Some of them were touched on by the panel. As I mentioned earlier, this is the only time that the candidates are in the same setting. What does that mean? It means that you learn both about their objective positions on the salient issues that are facing the country, but you also learn about their demeanor and their temperament. You watch them interacting with each other. You watch them interacting with the moderator or several moderators in town meeting where citizens are asking the questions. You watch them interacting with citizens, which, as you all know, is very different. It's a very different dynamic than when candidates are interacting with a professional journalist who may be moderating a debate. People take away enormous amounts of information from those different factors. Some of them you can quantify, some of them are very personal, but all of them cut to the question, as was mentioned in the earlier panel, is this someone that you believe is going to fill the job competently, thoughtfully, compassionately? This is a job interview. The second is that in the best of circumstances, there is a handshake or an equivalent sign of civil greeting, candidate to candidate or among candidates when the debate starts and finishes. This is a symbol of civility and seriousness. It's also a symbol of respect for citizens and for the country and for the system of government that this country has chosen. It's extremely important. You will not see that at any other time during the campaign. The third, which is extremely important to us, because our country has gotten out of this habit badly, the debates reinforce the importance and the value of listening to the candidates, of listening to positions that may not be the same as the ones that you hold, of trying to reconcile the differences between and among different candidates, and of trying to understand that the ideal debate will give information to viewers and listeners that they didn't have before, but they can only gain that information if they listen and pay attention. I'm glad that the issue of social media was raised earlier. I'm also glad that the word noise happened to be used, because we all should take advantage of the fact that during a debate, we have the opportunity to listen directly to candidates, not what someone else is representing about their beliefs. This is not coming from a news anchor. This is not coming from a pundit or a columnist. And also, this is not coming from a social media string of comments about the candidates or the debate. As I say to college students in our country, we are all taught from a young age to think for ourselves. Well, debates allow us the chance to do that at the highest level of political decision making. Do you really want to listen to a social media based conversation that's going on during a debate or immediately thereafter that may actually cue off of very subjective, irrelevant things? Whether someone liked the tie that someone wore, whether they thought that their expression was appropriate. The debates are the opportunity to focus on big issues and to come away from the event thinking about what do those issues mean to an individual voter? How will they affect our lives? What difference will it make if we vote for one party, one candidate versus another? Finally, any opportunity to learn about candidates, about issues, is one that we should treasure. To pick up on the last line of the previous panel, this is about for each of us as voters, as citizens, making informed choices. The only way we can do that is with information. Debates ideally should be structured in a format that focuses the time and all of the substantive conversation on the candidates, on the participants. That is the reason over the years why we have gotten away from a panel of journalists asking questions and now have a single moderator in charge of the debates. Yes, for those of you in this group who have moderated debates and who are journalists involved in debates, that is a big lift. It is a huge responsibility to go out on our stages for 90 minutes with no commercial breaks and conduct a conversation between two or more people who are in the job interview of their lives. On the other hand, this is about the candidates. This is not about others. This is a time where there are no staff, there are no props, there are no pre-produced segments that can reduce the focus on the candidates. This is about focusing all of the time on them so that the maximum value of the conversation and the information revealed will, at the end of the debate, belong to the citizens. That is what they take away. That is what they can think on. That is what they can discuss with their neighbors. That is what they will act on when they go to the polling places.